Good afternoon. My name is Dale Rodriguez. This is Flabonga Monthrothacube, and this is the first one of 2024. Woot woot. And with me today, I've got Vicky Poole. Hey, Vicky, how's it going?
Hey Dale, it's going really well, thanks. It's a first week back, second working day for me. It's good.
Show off. I was back last week, working hard. Or
It's
hardly working.
called childcare, and for some strange reason, over here in West Berks, the kids didn't go back until Monday. And of course, I've got the young one on Mondays, so.
So the main takeaway is children are the worst. Got it.
uh, yes, maybe. I don't know.
Do you mind if I big you up for a second? Just want to people know. So for anyone who's been watching me talk to people for the last year or so on social media, it's actually Vicky who kind of started it. She encouraged me to use my voice. She gave me a compliment and said, "You've got a nice voice." Are you saying sorry because you boosted me? And I was like, "Let's do some live streams." So it's because of Vicky these live streams are actually happening. She was like, "Dale, you've got a cool voice, do it." And I was like, "Sure." So I did it, and here we are, like a year and a half later. So thanks, Vicky. Your encouragement started all this madness.
You're welcome. And it's nice to know that, I can wait 6 months on the waiting list to come on to one of these live streams, seeing as I was the cause. But there again, I do ask for non-preferential treatment, although I might have to change that moving forward.
I mean, you're welcome anytime, but you're right. They get booked up because people want to talk.
People want to talk, yeah.
Despite me being mean, like sometimes I try and go full on Jeremy Paxman on them, and they still want to talk to me. I'm like, don't know why. Tender response.
Tender response, yeah. So when I left corporate in 2020, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I acted as a freelancer for some tender writing services, and I did a couple of things. I tried my hand at a few different avenues, and tender response has really just kind of stuck. So I did that as a freelancer, worked for a couple of agencies, writing responses to questions, to tenders, certain proposals. And then I incorporated the business last year. So tender response was born on 23rd, 25th of March. I forget the day I submitted the paperwork and the day that all the paperwork got filed were different days, obviously. Yep. And yeah, it's just been going from strength to strength since. So 2024 is going to be a good year for us. It's going to be really good.
Can I ask you a dumb question? Why is it?
Was that the dumb question?
Nope. I can ask you two dumb questions plus the one I have in the bank. Why is it tenders are so difficult to write or respond to? Like, because I've seen a few in my time, never had to write them. But I'm like, why is this 30 pages and why is it in non-English? What's that about?
Okay, so two things. Why is it 30 pages? There is governance and process. So whenever you're trying to get access to public money, you have to go through the steps on the process. And some of those are going to be, box ticking exercises because we all have to tick those boxes. And then the other ones are going to be making sure that what you're offering is the right thing that the council or the body, the procurer, is looking to buy. So then they ask you a whole load of questions. So you got ITT, invitation to tender, which is generally, I want this widget and I want this delivered in this way. And then you have request for proposals, which is we have this blue sky idea. How would you deliver it? What services would you use? And what would it be like to work with you as an organization? So you get the two variants.
Okay.
Yep. And why is it in non-English? It's in, how people say that you get legal documents and they're in legalese?
Yeah, they're kind of like, they're not legalese, but they're similar in like,
yeah.
I'm a reasonably intelligent person. I'm just like, this is really hard to read. This isn't how people speak or write normally.
The hand on heart, I think a lot of the questions are missing a Grammarly review. There needs to be a comma or a full stop in a few places. And you look at some of the questions and it's 4 lines of text with no full stops. But you notice that if you put a comma in a different place, it changes the meaning of the question. So I think it needs some SPG, but there again, that's someone who's a bit OCD and needs to know exactly what it is that I'm responding to.
SPG?
Spelling, punctuation, and grammar.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You can get Grammarly for free. I'm not an affiliate, but Grammarly has saved my life on more than one occasion.
I was going to say, well, then we see like your sign up link at the bottom. Get 20% off Grammarly now. Use code VP to get your
code VP. No, I'm not that bad. I try and give away a lot of information that I can, because two things. When you're running a business, you need to know what applications are good and that work. And the second thing is, everyone's out there to make a buck. And the second that you start going, oh, I'm an affiliate for this, I'm an affiliate for that, for me, it loses the integrity. So,
I mean, that is the influencer way, though. Right? It's now a thing. In the last 5 years, influencers with sign up links. It's business now, isn't it? It's really different.
It is. But
if you had to represent one product and be affiliate, what would it actually be? Though I know you're not doing it. I know you said you wouldn't do it, but like if you had to pick one.
Can I come back to you on that, or does it need to be answered to now?
No, you have to answer it now. I mean, I can rephrase the question if you want. Who would you sell your soul for?
Oh God, I'll stick with the first question, thanks. So there was one that instantly springs to mind, which is Amazon, and I think that's probably because a lot of people use it. But then when I think about that a little further, I'm probably saying Amazon because everyone buys from Amazon and it's an easier sell. If I'm being true to my roots as a business development person, so my background is strategic business development. So it's market positioning, lead gen, marketing, collateral. If I'm being honest to that, it would have to be something in that sphere. So there is a company that I refer to very regularly for social media, and they do content generation, they do reels, they do social media, content management, posting, interacting with comments, and they do all of that starting from £99 a month. And I've referred lots of business to them, and I would probably if I had to, it would probably be that. Yeah. That's then aligned to my roots. It's all to do with lead gen.
Okay. What is the hardest thing about lead generation?
So something that a lot of people find very difficult about lead generation is getting knocked back. Mm-hmm. So the whole purpose of lead gen, well, there's two hard things to lead gen: understanding your market to get the right language. Yep. Which, if you know a good marketer, or if you know, I know a few good people in my network actually who do this, they turn it around really quickly. So you're using the right language, and when you're using the right language, you're speaking to the people, which means that you get higher conversion rates, or you're able to very quickly qualify whether someone's interested or not. Mm-hmm. You got your content, you got the language, and then the second piece is dealing with the rejection. That's the hard piece, because it's not like crossing a bar and asking, an attractive person, if you can buy them a drink or have a conversation with them. It's not that kind of rejection. It's you never get a response. You get ghosted. And it's you then have to update yourself on a regular basis. I need to speak to Dale. I need to speak to Mary. I need to speak to this. I need to speak to them. And it's hard. And it's the slog of it that then becomes very, very difficult. But, and I say but, it's a numbers game. It's a complete numbers game.
And I was going to ask, is it quality versus quantity, or is it a mismatch of both?
So you get two styles of company. Oh, sorry. Well, you get one. I don't know what that was.
No idea. Sorry, you're saying
I can't hear you now, Dale.
You can't hear me. Oh dear.
I can't hear you at all. And it's not my side. Sorry, we had technical issues beforehand. I don't think it's my side. So while Dale's having a bit of a tinker, I'll answer that question. So there are two different types of lead generation that we find. You get the companies that go for mass, and they are trying to get as many appointments booked in your calendar as possible. And these are generally the kinds of people that will just book appointments in without it being qualified. And they look for particular demographics, like a woman approaching 40. That's me this year. And they'll literally just speak to me and get me booked into your calendar, and that would then qualify as a lead, and they get paid per appointments. You then get the qualified lead generation, which you get fewer appointments, but they're better quality. You get more rejections when you're looking for the better quality leads. So if it's purely just an appointment booking service, you're going to be able to get higher people booked into your calendar. You're generally going to be busier, but the conversion is going to be lower. For me, in the way that I've always worked it in sales, it's quality over quantity. So I'd rather have and help people generate 2 or 3 qualified, genuine leads that are going to convert or have a high probability of converting, rather than packing their calendar out or packing their sales pipeline out with opportunities that just aren't going to fly.
Interesting. First of all, can you hear me now?
And I still can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I don't know what to do. Oh.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Well, hopefully other people watching this can hear me. How bizarre.
I'm going to try and convert to my computer and see if that helps.
I mean, in the meantime, I could just talk about random nothingness, but I don't know if that'd be helpful at all. And unfortunately, I can't see if anyone is commenting on this either. I can't see comments, which is a little bit frustrating. This is where I should probably invest in some hold music. Sorry, you still can't hear me? No? Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for switching devices.
You're all right.
That was really bizarre. I've never had that happen before.
I have no idea what's happened.
Okay. Sorry, you were just giving some really awesome insights on lead generation, and you were talking about quality versus quantity.
I was.
And I didn't quite catch your final point because it cut off.
No.
Sorry.
So there are 2 different types of lead generation. You get the people that want to book your calendar full of appointments, which are appointment bookers, and these are going to be low quality leads. There's likely to be a high rejection rate. So you have the initial conversation, but the call doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't generate into an opportunity. You then get the second type of appointment booker, or lead generation, where the leads are qualified. So you generally tend to get lower values, lower numbers of these, but they're higher quality. So these are going to be able to be converted and transferred into opportunities within your pipeline. And when you're looking to generate new business and new leads, it's incredibly important to be looking at quality over quantity, because you're not selling. And I say that you got to be careful of your products, because if you're selling mobile phones and it's say for example, gift product and service is £8 a month. So those guys need numbers in order to make that work. Yep. If you're looking
you always answer my questions before I ask the question. I was about to ask you, does it matter on what product or service you're selling? And you've already started answering it. So, yeah.
So, yeah, you know what? You're right. It does. If you're looking, so if your demographic is quite wide, say, for example, it's you're helping perimenopausal women through the menopause. So that's a demographic of women that, start from 40 to mid 50s. And you're going to have them in like the coaching program for like the period of time that they're going through perimenopause. And like your subscription service to that platform or that service could be 20 quid a month. So that is literally any woman that's 40, between the ages of 40 and 55, and all you're doing is funneling them into an existing program. All you really need is an appointment booker. Because every single person that you speak to in that category is going to be there. The question then becomes is, are they perimenopausal? Do they need help and support? And if they do, you do something that's cost effective. So 20 quid a month isn't going to set anyone's, it's not going to break anybody's bank account. It's not going to break anyone's commitments. But what it does do is that if you sign up, say, 3 people a week, that's 60 quid a week. There are a lot of weeks in a year.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
it
I'm
then
curious,
becomes that.
with your business, can I assume it's the opposite type of business? Because it's quite, I assume there's a lot of detail involved. Like you're probably not having hundreds of clients. It's probably like a handful, but for a longer period of time. Am I right?
So tender response, we have a shelf life because our services, we go into an SME and they can range from a company that turns over £20,000 a year all the way through to, my largest client is £11 million a year. And depending on where they are on that journey, we join them where they're at, and then we help them along their journey. When a company reaches a certain size, they then don't need me because they can afford their own resources.
Got it.
So when I look at my existing client address book, there are 2 clients that are getting ready to have their own services. And I'm thrilled because when you look at what we've done, we've created a big library of content. We've got feedback. We've got references that are stored in a uniform way so that when they get tenders, they can turn it around themselves. So they then have their own bid writing admin or their bid admin who looks purely at sales opportunities, and they then respond and answer the questions based off of the content that we've already written. And on occasion, I literally had this like 10 minutes ago, just before joining our call. There was a request came in from we haven't had this question before. Can you have a look at the response? So even though I'm in the process of outboarding a client, they're still coming back to us because they haven't been asked this question before. They don't have this content in their bid library. So I know that we are temporary. We are maybe 12, 18 months support for the bigger companies. And for some of the smaller companies that turn over anything under $1 million, we are likely to be supporting them for a period of 3 to 5 years. And that's great.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Do you want to hear something really, really dumb? I got distracted by your pronunciation of the word book because you have a different accent to mine. I know, childish, right?
Yeah, because
Childish.
I say it properly.
I wasn't going to say words or antagonistic words like properly or better. It's just different. Just different.
You gotta love us Geordie birds.
Always, always.
Okay.
Personal question.
I love a personal question.
So when we first met and started talking, we found out that we both like lifting weights. Now, I know you've been busy being a mum and such, so probably not as much time for lifting weights, but do you have a particular weight or movement you like doing, like a squat or a deadlift or some bench press? Like, what's your favorite and why?
So I've always been a squatter. I like front squats, back squats, frog squats. I love them all because they work different parts of the leg. And I come from a rural family, so it's always useful to be able to lift your own weights. But a particular focus for me for this year is going to be building my shoulders back up. I think I'm reaching a certain age. I turned the big 40 this year. I'm saying it several times to try to get myself
a couple of times. Yep.
Yes, 40. I will be 40 this year. 40. It's not getting any easier. I'll keep practicing it. So I want to try and build my shoulders back up because I didn't used to have huge shoulders, but I used to have like the definition in the shoulders. And I noticed that one side is definitely stronger than the other at the moment. And I think that's with having children that prefer to be handled on one side than the other. Yeah. So for me this year, I've got back and shoulders. My legs are great. I can do
You're so humble about it. My legs are great. Sorry.
I have that there is a lovely person at my gym who is quite obviously gay, and they approached me in the gym just before Christmas and said, "Sweetie, I love your legs. They are great. Everyone's talking about them," and just wandered out the gym. So that made me feel so much better about myself and my post-baby body.
Yep.
But yes, so this year is all about my back and my shoulders. So that is going to be a huge focus. My squats on a complete set variations, which is front, back, and frog. I'm lifting or having 85 or 90 kilograms on an 8-rep set.
That's pretty heavy.
Thank you. Yeah. It's quite nice when you're doing that and you're next to a guy who's doing 60.
I mean, if he's bigger than you, then it's embarrassing for him. But again, actually, no gym shame, no gym shame. He might be starting. He might be new. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's
give him the benefit. Yes. So it is actually quite nice. And there's a couple of guys that I meet at the gym quite often. We all train independently, but we kind of, because our weights are very similar, it's easier for us to swap in and out. So we spot each other.
Yeah.
Which is nice. One of them's a copper. One of them's an armed copper, and the other guy, I forget where he works, but he works in like a rural industry. He hasn't told me specifically what he does, but it's nice just to have those gym friends to spur you on.
Gym friends. Yay. What's your least favorite exercise?
Cardio.
Oh, just cardio in general, all of it.
All of it. I don't mind doing HIIT or anything to get the heart rate up, but if I'm stood on a treadmill, I get bored. I'm one of these people that needs to be able to do something. If I could manage, I would be reading a book while on the treadmill or on the cross trainer. I need something else to do. And I love how gyms these days have got TVs where you can watch TV or you can listen to music. Seriously, you're there to move your body, not rot your brain.
You say that. I'm kind of the same. I don't particularly like cardio. I've recently started Couch to 5K because I'm like, I just need to do it. I need to get that, cardiovascular fitness. And I'm not gonna lie, I do have my phone and I will put on a TV show and do the cardio because it's just so tedious. I don't get how people like it.
I'm going to be very honest with people here. So I've got fibromyalgia, and last year, fibromyalgia, chronic pain syndrome, and it could be, we're still breastfeeding. So Edward's 2 tomorrow. Hey, happy birthday, Eddie! He's still a booby baby, so he still takes quite a lot out of my body. So when my fibromyalgia plays up, it's really painful, and it lasts for weeks. So to do any sort of like regular continuous movement, like running on the stepper or the cross trainer, if I've got fibro playing up, it's really painful. So I have steered away from that. But any sort of like jerk movements, like kettlebell swings or throwing medicine balls or stuff like that, other stuff to get your heart rate up, I can do that till the cows come home, usually without too much impediment from my fibro.
Okay, that's cool.
So
going on a slightly different tangent, before you mention it, we've just had Christmas. What is the best Christmas present you received this year?
You know what? I'm pagan. So Christmas for me is more about food because it's about solstice, and solstice is about reconnecting with nature. It's about coming back into life. So most of the world or most of the areas are quiet, the birds, there's not as many birds, and you're going through that element of rebirth.
Okay.
And of course, the festivals over solstice are really they're all about food and drink and connecting. So for me, Christmas is about my children and my children enjoying Christmas. It's not about the presents that I receive. So this is a Christmas box from my in-laws, which is quite nice. It's a scarf. I haven't had a scarf that's like sewed at both ends. So it's like do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah. I've never had one of these before. Except I normally like fiddling with the tassels at the bottom. So this is new and interesting for me. I got a lovely set of wellies, so that I can trudge out through the marsh and to get to a lot of the Bronze Age sites run by me.
So
But
I didn't know you were a pagan. So like, are there any particular traditions that happen around the winter solstice that pagans will traditionally do?
Well, you got the ceremonies that go on at Stonehenge on solstice, which is technically it's sundown the previous night until sundown on solstice. And depending on the practices that you follow, it can include fasting, it can include parties, it can include connections.
I like that those are two extreme opposites: parties and eating, or fasting. That's like
so you've got paganism. So paganism is like Christianity; it covers everything. So you've got bards, ovids, and druids.
What now? Sorry, bards,
ovids, and druids.
See, I've heard of druids and bards. Never heard of the other one. Ovids, did you say?
Ovids.
Okay, cool.
OVATES. For more information, see druids.org. Again, not an affiliate, but there again, there's more information. And depending on the practices that you follow, for example, so you can be a witch. So most witches are generally ovids.
Okay. Generally,
not always. You get priestesses or priests and priestesses. They can be ovids or druids. Okay. It's just there's lots of different variations. For me, I'm a hedge witch, otherwise known, and the male variant of that is a druid. So for me, it's about trees, it's about stillness, it's about mindfulness with a good meditation thrown in there at sunrise and sunset with lots and lots of food.
Okay.
So I generally fast from sundown the night. So when you have the solstice day, it's about that the shortest day. So the night before I fast, and I fast until sundown of solstice. So when you've got someone who is very sensitive to blood sugars, I'm an absolute barrel of laughs for that whole day.
Yep. Are you a barrel of laughs?
No, no, I'm not. I'm being honest. I usually shy away from everybody on solstice for mindful moments and self-reflection. And it's a great opportunity, I find, to reflect on what's happened during the year and plan for the year ahead. And with that, I do personal, I do family, and then I do business. And I do it in that order.
I'm genuinely intrigued by this. So if you don't mind me digging a little bit deeper, where does this come from? Where does it, like, why do it? Because it's not a religion, right? But there is a tradition to it. Where does it stem from?
Paganism is a religion.
It is a religion. My bad. Sorry.
Yeah,
apologies.
it's all right. It's okay. It's okay.
So it is a religion, but like, where does it come from? Like, why are the traditions there? Like, most people know why Christmas is there, and I know Christians borrow lots of stuff from paganism, but like, where does it come from?
Okay. All right then. So close your eyes, Dale, for a moment. I'm going to have a bit of fun. Both of them. Mm-hmm. So at Christmas, talk to me about what your Christmas decorations are.
I don't really have any, to be honest. I mean, there's the Christmas tree, which most people have, right?
Okay.
That's one of them.
We'll stop there for a moment. Okay. So Christmas tree is a sign of Christianity at Christmas. Yes?
I don't know why it is, but yes, it's become a thing.
Where does Christianity come from?
The Middle East.
How many Christmas trees do you find in the Middle East?
Probably none. I don't think they have any. Do they have any trees of that nature? No?
No, they don't. Thank you. And thank you for closing your eyes. You can open your eyes now, mate. So they don't have any. So when the Romans were expanding their empire, they would take lands and then they'd integrate with the people. It's far easier to integrate with the people if you introduce some of their customs into yours. So paganism went all the way through Europe. I mean, you had Germanic Celts, you had Gaul, which is now France, Portugal. You know, all of those areas they had their own beliefs in the same way that India and all of the other countries around the world have their own beliefs and their own belief systems. Yep. And the whole purpose of bringing a tree indoors is so that you can give an opportunity for the forest goddess to have, or the forest gods, I say goddess because I align with one, come into the warmth. In the same way that when you're looking at Santa and leaving him some whiskey and some cookies, you know, that is also part of a pagan tradition where you leave a drink and you leave some food, which is generally either a carrot or some mealworms for the forest gods and the forest animals to come and provide have substance over the winter months. And you can do this on a particular night or several. Now, most traditional Christmas trees didn't have baubles on them. They had ribbons. So when you go and visit people, you have ribbons of friendship. So you would create your own cloth, or you'd have your own fabric. And when you would come to visit somebody, you could come and tie a bow on their tree.
Oh.
Mistletoe. So if you hung mistletoe is like a twig with white. If you don't know what it is, it's like a twig with white berries. Mm-hmm. In order to claim your kiss, you'd take a berry from the mistletoe. You wouldn't eat it because it's obviously poisonous, but you'd take the berry from the mistletoe. So you'd have your kiss, and then you'd take your berry. But in most Western cultures now, you don't take the berry, whereas in
you just give someone a kiss.
Interesting. So what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that, and there are other beliefs out there that come from India, from Japan, from China, that we've adapted for the West. So it's there's lots of different ways in which we all represent the same thing. There's a reason why Christmas is on the 25th and not on solstice, because it's close enough to the pagan traditions that it would be accepted by the pagans when the Romans were going out and expanding their empire. But it was also an excuse for them to have another festival.
Yep, Romans did like a good festival. They had a lot of festivals. In fact, I think they had a god of parties. I can't remember his name, but yeah, they had like
something along those lines. Yeah.
Same with the Greeks. Like they had like a god that was literally a god of parties and like festivals and wine. So yeah, that's pretty dope.
To have another party and festivals, obviously.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that, by the way, because I know that's complete like non sequitur, but I was just genuinely intrigued. So yeah, I should probably ask you like a businessy question, shouldn't I?
Like, nice segue. Let's have it.
Business question.
Nobody would know that we did some prep work before this call, would they?
Did we do prep work before this call? No. Let's keep it laid back. All right. Okay, I'll ask you a really, really direct question. Why should people use tender response?
Why should people use tender response? Well, there's two reasons. I normally like to try and do things in three, but you know, today's a day of twos. I don't know why. It's probably my second day back. One, we are very straight talking. We will help you find the relevant information, and we will quite gladly give time away. It's all about finding things that are the right thing for you. We're not going to try and sell you or push you down a particular tender or framework because we think it's best for you. It's going to be here are the options. Personally, you know, we've had a look. There was one tender a year. You may not wish to go down this route, or it's you want to do this. We'll support you in doing that, but have you thought about this? And we'll give you the options, and we'll empower you to make those relevant choices for yourself. That's the best for you. The second thing is we don't charge the world, because we're not a business that's building to take over the planet. We are building a business so that everybody can have a piece of a pie. So by that, what I mean is our subscriptions start from 37 quid a month, which is very cost effective to pretty much every business out there. And the second thing is that we don't take commissions. So a lot of agencies out there, they take commissions. So if you win a 5-year contract, let's say £1 million, you have to pay those bid writing agencies for the full 5 years on contract award. So you haven't billed the client anything yet. So you have no money coming in, and some of those bigger agencies are expecting to be paid then and there. Oh, wow. We don't charge win fees. So you pay for your bid response, and then everything that you get to keep after that is yours.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's quite a big differentiator. I didn't know that's how you worked. Good to know.
Yeah.
Are you looking to work with any particular type of business or industry at the moment?
There's a lot of interest at the moment for people who support housing agencies. There's lots of tenders that have been released, and there are a lot more coming up this year. So plumbers, facilities, roofing, those are going to be particularly interesting areas to be in at the moment. There's a lot of work that's being funneled down. Secondly, there's a lot of work that's being funneled down cybersecurity services. So that's the Cybersecurity 3 framework. And there's a lot of services coming up this year that are going to be going down Network Services 3 frameworks, which are things like, so cybersecurity does what it says on the tin. It's penetration testing and consultancy on those fronts. And the network services is anything to do with IT, so networking IT. So that is your LANs, WANs, MANs, data centers, voice, hosting, phones. It's all of my old industry. It's a big area. So that's going to be going down there as well. The NHS has their own framework. So if you sell into the NHS, they have their own frameworks. Now, typically, if in NHS recruitment, huge drive this year. I personally don't do this, but I work very closely with a gentleman called Jeff Brooks, who runs a business called Winmore. And he does what I do, but he does it purely for recruitment. And I'm one of his writers. I do some writing for him every now and again. And that's a busy industry this year as well.
Okay, that's good to know. You heard it here, folks. First, peoples, if you're watching this,
100%.
they're the places to go if you're looking for some different work or some different areas of work and you need some help getting those tenders in. That's where you should go. Good to know. I'm going to wrap this up very, very soon. But before I do that, do you have any questions for me?
What was your favorite Christmas box?
What Christmas present?
Yeah.
I'm similar to you. I'm not really a gift person. Like, I'm more about experiences. So I'd rather do stuff. And on my Christmas, there was a lot of food. But yeah, so again, not a huge gift person, but I did get a very funny little toy from my dad. It's this little drone-esque thing. It has no camera, no controls. It just has a blade with a casing around it, and you can throw it. And because it's got a little propeller in it, it's kind of like it hovers. I don't know. It amused me for several hours. It amused my daughter for several hours. So that's my favorite gift. Is a little toy thing that was it's fun.
Interesting. Cool. And then I wonder if I can ask you a business question.
I mean, I might not know the answer, but sure.
What's new in your industry?
What's new in my industry? HMRC are cracking down on people's side hustles, specifically e-tail. So if you sell on Amazon, eBay, Etsy, as a part of the whole Making Tax Digital campaign, which has been going on for years, but they're really looking into like how much people earn via these side hustles. And some people have them as their main jobs and their main businesses. But HMRC are really, really looking into the nitty-gritty, and they're asking for like more data on that, which means a little bit more work for people like me, but there are ways and means of doing it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's really interesting, because there are lots of people out there that I know that have side hustles that I've read about it in the press, but I'm not entirely sure about the implications of the review yet.
I mean, it's still like early days, so there's still like different limits and levels you can trade on, and it's how much money you earn in 30 days and all that kind of stuff. But if you're doing it consistently, HMRC is kind of look into it and get some of that monies, because tax. It doesn't have to be taxing.
It'll have to, well, definitely taxing. Yeah, it'll be wonderful to hear from you guys whether or not there's options, or how you would mitigate that tax implication is what I'm trying to get to. But that might not necessarily be a conversation for now, because the review is still pending. But as and when, I'll keep stalking your deal.
It also depends on like your personal situation. Like, it's, as you know, it depends on how much trade you do, how much you earn personally, limited company partnership, all these other factors. Like, it's not one size fits all. But yeah,
like most things that I ask my accountant, the response is it depends.
And any decent accountant will give you like, I don't know, 2 or 3 different options. You can do this, you can do this, you can't do this. You might want to try this. That's what they should do, and then you can make the decision as to what's best for you. That's what should happen.
Empowering choices so that it enables the person to make their own decision. It's a bit like the same thing that I do, so it's great.
Yeah. Thank you for asking me that, by the way. That was a really good question.
Good.
And on that note, I'm going to say good afternoon, because I've got to jump on a call in like 5 minutes. bad planning on my part. Thank you for doing this, by the way, because I know you're also busy. You've given up your time to talk to me and answer my dumb questions. So much appreciated.
You're welcome. I'll see you again soon. And thanks everybody for tuning in.
Cheers.